This will be interesting. All right. How's my movement? Okay, I got. All right, cool. I can do this.
Are you gonna use the regular?
I'm old school. I mean, I'll probably do it like this, but you know.
You can take that off. You wanna take it off?
How good is this?
Address announcer Tim Tobacco. Now, ladies and gentlemen, would you please remain standing? Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem is two-time Academy of Country Music Award winner, Carrie Underwood.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets sparkled out, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
All right, go Jackets!
And also for the audio, just be aware that whatever you say is also being live streamed.
Okay. So basically, no commentary about the NHL game. Okay, I got you. Here we go.
I guess I'm looking for Redondo on this guy, so he's to coach there. What do you do about scores?
I try again, like if they score over here, then I'll need it, but usually they're right down here.
So get it now. That umbrella's hidden when the wind blows.
You can move it.
Yeah? Okay.
There's that.
All good there.
What do they have at the snack bar?
Just basic stuff, garbage.
What kind of garbage?
Well, just nothing help.
I want.
Well, there was water. Yeah, nothing help. Cans, fruit, and nuts.
Might have had a good
I'm spoiled, Aaron, where I live. Yeah. Everything's fresh. Yeah. Everything. Fish I eat is caught either that morning or last night. The fruit fell off the tree. So it's just, I just refuse to eat anything but the good food. Yeah. Lucy's taking a couple of times now.
Fun.
There's a fire starting in my heart. My fever is bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see crystal clear. Go ahead and tell me how they all should play.
Tough afternoon.
I'm gonna take you out to Green Barbecue. We'll be fine. They played hard. It was a tough game. Well, I just wanted to say hi. I hope so. We have a sister. Oh, right there, Jordan. Nice job, Jordan. Yeah. Looking like a super.
Long shorts.
I'll make it up to you that day. Oh. Figure it out. This is Mark.
Hi Lindsay, how are you?
Good.
I ambushed you with the camera.
Yeah. Did you know it was him?
I heard a voice and I was like, yeah.
So, we were thinking second half. Are you leaving or staying?
I can do it.
Okay, because we just want to hear you. I think he's going to
Come on, no. That goal was insane. The PB goalie, stop it. Yes, indeed. You guys were on deep for almost the whole second half. Oh wow, that's it. Put your feet up.
Movement.
Nice job, Jordan.
Total combination.
Is it what?
Yeah, it's together.
Defense.
Nice job, Jackie.
Yeah! Let's go.
All the things we love, like our chicken thighs and cold beer on Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio up. I like to see the sunrise, see the love in my mama's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, and know a mother's love.
Watch the ball, Zo. Go, pressure. Go, don't get in there. Watch the middle. Lily! Ladies!
Love
Good job. Good job. Yeah.
take this time to thank Culver City High School for hosting today's game. We will stop by their snack bar and enjoy some hot dogs, hamburgers, and all kinds of good snacks there at the snack bar. If you would also stop by the Cal Road booth, if you are interested in a event t-shirts, they have event t-shirts, and other Cross Foundation shirts as well. Proceeds from that would help grow the game of lacrosse here in Stonesville. We'd also like to thank Epic Lacrosse for their support of today's game. Make sure you check out epiclacrosse.com. Live, play, do. We'd also like to thank STX for their contribution to helping the game possible, as well as LaxRatz.com and Epic Lacrosse.
I was thinking about it.
Get it back, Redondo! Where's it? Nice.
Come on.
Nice. It would have been fun with American Woman.
Go! Going right!
We found out we were pregnant. The app says the 17th.
Good shot there.
cool because it's made me... Better up!
Is it shaky?
Oh yeah.
Is she going first?
Huh?
Usually is.
Something happened.
Nice, Brooke. Good job, Brooke.
There you go, Brooke. invaded. We're being invaded. Are you good?
Oh, no, it's not.
How are you? I heard you guys it was a close game, good game? Or just...
And then...
You okay?
But, yeah.
Do you have any sunscreen? I'm going to give you some. You can put it on your shoulder so you get mad. So, are you good? We'll go on second half and just do some chat.
Okay, hey, two wrestling coaches.
Yeah, in fact, can we do... Yeah, that'd be perfect.
I think Lisa's got a mic.
Okay, we'll wait till halftime.
How's it going?
Good, how are you? Drew.
Aaron.
Nice to meet you. Oh, Aaron Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we met at that party that night. Yeah. Good to see you.
You too.
Oh, hey, Lisa.
Yeah, that's how that works, right? Yeah, I'm just being cheesy. I didn't know.
So, it's a different look. So, the song too, like, I didn't think so. One is already.
How are you? Hey, Chopper here, and I have a rare catch here. I've got the Westlake girls coach and the Westlake boys coach, Lindsay Munoz and Peter Swander. Be careful, because one grenade would get us all. It would wipe out the whole program at LaxRatz, so let's be careful. Lindsay, I'll start with you. You guys just finished a rough one with Palos Verdes. Just give me a quick synopsis on how that game went, and how you would have liked to go.
Yeah, so as I thought, it was really a game of possessions, and unfortunately for us, weren't really getting the possessions. And then there was also a lot of unlucky possessions when we did have the ball, whether it was shooting or them coming up with really big saves, and we just weren't unable to capitalize today, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes it goes that way. Would have liked to see the other side, but you win some, you lose some, and that's the game.
You had Palos Verdes rated high all year. At one point, they were #1. Do you mind giving us a shot? What do you think their chances are in a final against either of these two teams?
I think their chances are really good. They're a really good team, and like I said, that draw, this game is a game of possessions, and if you can keep the ball, then that's everything. And they have one talented draw taker in Harper Ski, and she's only a freshman, so that's a little scary.
Awesome. And Peter, you guys are done for the year, but you faced a tough schedule. Tell me some of the highlights of the year for you guys.
So we got to play Oaks Christian on their own field 3 times this year, so that was an education.
Including the playoffs?
Including the playoffs, to just resolve that.
I thought you're not supposed to have home field advantage like that on the playoffs, huh?
Well, it was a scheduling issue. It was just an accident, but it worked out. 3 away games against a very disciplined team. So,
what would you say were highlights of the season, either players, plays, games? What sticks out in your mind as best for the year?
I think for Westlake, being in a close game with Foothill was an important sort of step forward. Stealing a game against Oaks Christian's great, and it was a good year with a young team. So
that's awesome. Speaking of young team, who do you have coming back that we ought to be looking for next year?
Everyone except 4 kids. So.
Okay. Good. And what about you guys? How you guys look for next year?
Good. We have definitely some girls that are coming up, a lot of juniors that are going to be seniors next year, so we're going to be heavy on our leadership, and we're going to be having some new 8th graders, some new faces on the freshman class coming in too. It's going to be very exciting.
All right, you heard it here first. Don't sleep on the Warriors in 2020. They'll be back.
Oh yeah, we will.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Test one. All right, second half action here. Chopper here, and I'm with Lindsay Munoz. We are watching game 2 of the girls' semifinals. Lindsay, before we get into this game, talk a little bit about the game that you just played against Palos Verdes. And just first of all, people may not know the outcome. Why don't you tell us who won and sort of what the flow of the game was?
Sure. So PV ended up winning. I believe the final was 11-8, something 12-8. And really it was tied 5-5 at halftime. And really what it came down to was possessions and the draw. As you can see, it's crucial in the game of lacrosse. And, when we did get our possessions, we were unfortunately creating turnovers for ourselves. And it was a lot of unlucky shooting some pipes, a lot of good goalie play by Palos Verdes as well that was causing us problems. But credit in the world to Palos Verdes and what they did, their ability to continue to move the ball and really pull us out defensively. And they came up with it.
All right, I want to get back to your game, but let's set the stage for people that are watching or that might just have tuned in. Who do we have in red and who's in white out here?
Sure. So out here we have Glendale Nitros in red. They're ranked number 4. And in white we have number 1 Redondo. They won last year's LA North Finals, and I'm sure looking back to do it again.
They have an 11-8 lead coming out after the half. I wasn't here for the first half, but you were probably watching. What have they been doing? How have they gotten the advantage?
Sure. I think a lot of it, like I was talking about earlier, is possessions. They've been coming up with the draws and, causing turnovers like they just did on defense. That was a great interception by Lily. But also, Redondo's ball movement on attack has been awesome to see. A lot of players are getting a lot of touches on it, and they're getting some great shots off in front of the cage. So that's creating a little bit more opportunities for them down there.
All right, so for any of you that have listened to Chopper here over the last 10 years, you know how I feel about face-offs and draws. So I'm not going to go down that pathway other than the fact that both these games seem to be getting determined by that. Lindsay, you mentioned on the possessions how strong Redondo's been. Is there anything in particular they're running, or is it just good overall ball movement?
Yeah, generally the ball is moving well, but also their cutters are able to get open in the middle, and they're getting their shots off very quickly, and I think that's helping them a lot because they're creating the goalie to move a lot, which creates more opportunities.
Okay. Redondo has been there before. I mean, they've been there a lot of years. How about this other squad? Is this new for them to be in the Final Four?
Nope. Glendale is always a top team. They were in this position last year, and they've been there, but definitely up and coming team. I'd say in the last couple of years, Coach Joe Campbell has done an awesome job with them. They have a lot of talented players. As you can see, this game is pretty close here. So kudos to them and what they've done as well over there.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this game and update people, but I'll tell people, Lindsay's team just finished about an hour and a half ago. Their season ended in a semifinal loss here, and so you got to give her some credit. The losing coach is coming on here and helping us out on the call on this game. But Lindsay, regarding that game, you had played Palos Verdes earlier in the year, and had you beaten them?
We did. It actually was a really crazy game. We were winning 12-5 at halftime, and shortly before the first half, about 5 minutes left, they received their 4th yellow card. And in the girls lacrosse game, if your team receives 4 yellow cards, you have to play a player down for the rest of the game. So they were man down and proceeded to, in the second half, come back on us, man down, and pull within, I think the closest it got was 3 goals, and we ended up winning 21-17. And so coming into it, my message was to the kids, look, you don't have to play perfectly to beat this team. But, there was just a lot of things that were not going our way today, and it really stinks to lose and end your season like that, but it doesn't take away from everything that they've done this season. From starting where we have even just the season before to have gotten further than we did last year. It's really incredible, and it's incredible to see how much excitement for the game that they've created for themselves and for the younger ones in the community too.
So one key to beating Palos Verdes for whoever plays them in the finals would be don't let them go a man down, because they're tough to beat there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're right to talk about the positives for your season, because you guys had an amazing season. Any players, situations that you will remind your team of at the banquet, or that you guys want to make sure you build on for next year?
Oh gosh, moving forward, it's my focus to them, push to them will just be their athleticism and training as much as they possibly can, because you know, you can work on the stick work. That stuff's you know, non-negotiable. But you know, if you can outwork a team and outrun them, the possibilities for you are endless.
Do you guys have off-season programs? Is there anything in the summer, a club program or some way that they'll stay together and keep working?
Yeah, so I like to give them summer break if any of them do want to play club. You know.
By the way, there's a shot and a goal, so they're inching back into this one.
Yep, absolutely. Another goal. That's exactly the kind of ball movement Redondo's been doing. Their ability to get open on the inside and get these quick shots off, especially non-stick side on the goalie. Those are tough to save when your momentum's going one way and they shoot the opposite way. It's tough to get that.
Okay, so back on this summer, what does the off season look like for your Westlake squad?
So it's really, like I said, I leave it optional to them. I think kids need a break, but I'm involved with a club program called Fire Lacrosse, and if any of them want to play for it, you know, it's options open to them to play. But we'll get going with fall training. I am a certified strength and conditioning coach, so I definitely get on them about that when I can, and we'll get them going with a program as soon as possible.
So, like with the boys' game, it seems like the girls' game, the program's expanding. There's more, you know, closer to a year-round availability of workouts and so forth. How do you feel about multi-sport athletes on your team versus somebody just focusing on lacrosse?
Oh, I love the multi-sport athletes. You know, it's as they can come and work out and get us their stick in hand. That's all I care about. And going back to what I said before, a lot of key to this game is athleticism. And as long as they're doing something, that's totally fine with me. I mean, we had a kid that had stunt tryouts this morning, stunt cheerleading, and came to the game, you know, later on. So even we're in season, you know, I want to support the kids fulfilling their passions in any way they possibly can. And as long as they're doing something, that's all I care about. And if they can get a stick in their hand every now and then, even better.
Good. Yeah, in fact, I guess if they're doing something good, that means that they're not doing something they shouldn't be doing. You know, I'm going to ask this question discreetly because, again, I don't want to get into a whole debate on should they get rid of face-offs after goals. But if you mentioned how important possessions are, and there's a shot and a goal. Right?
Yeah, that was a great take. Going, probably looks like she's a righty, right hand down the alley, shooting to the goalie's non-stick side hip. That's a really tough one to stop. It's a great shot.
So we move back to the dot here, and we're going to have the draw. If you were going to change anything in this setup, whether you do the draw or how you do it, or were you to leave it the same? I mean, what are your thoughts just on the whole concept of a draw after every goal?
So I like it. You know, it really creates a different aspect to the game where the kids can specialize. And, you know, if you get somebody that's really good at it, then the other team's in trouble, clearly, like I saw today. But also what I like is that there's also, while there's an element to the draw taker, you know, taking it herself, there's these outside players that really are the hustlers, the ones that have to fight and battle to get these ground balls. And that requires so much effort and athleticism to do that. And you'll see it here. You know, it's reaction time, it's speed, strength, everything goes into this play right here. And you can tell they're resetting it, taking their time, because it is so important to get possession.
Keys, if you're the draw person, what are you trying to do?
So it depends, and a lot depends on the actual placement of the ball. So there are rules for where it should go towards the top of the stick, but sometimes the ball shifts a little bit, so you're able to kind of get a feel for it underneath and push up. And so you can direct it different ways. Some people will purposely lose it, so it goes behind them, and their teammate will be able to get it. If you have somebody that feels like they have a quick step on them, you can kind of play with it a little bit. But usually there are little strategies you can do to possess it, depending on, you know, whether it's your grip, your movement on it, or even if you're pushing or pulling. There's just so much that goes into it that makes it really interesting and complicated all at the same time.
This game is 12-9 Redondo right now. Glendale has possession again, so a chance to cut into the lead. You mentioned the people on the wings and how important it is to be strong and fast. How do you select who you put on the wings? I mean, are there positions that they play that you look for, or just traits that they show on the field?
Yeah, usually those are midfielders that are on the circle, but for me, we swapped some people out that are on the outside of the circle, depending on how physical they can be and how quick their reactions are, and how much they're willing to hustle and go after those balls. Because if you don't have that, if you're not a fighter, then you're probably not coming up with it.
So you might favor kids from a family of 12 who have to fight for their dinner every night at the table?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that was a great interception by goalie Lily Barker, and that's one of the things that I love about the position of goalie. Obviously, I played goalie, but your ability to come outside the crease and cause disruption is really exciting for the game because it adds an element of fun. It also is a little bit unexpected for spectators that are watching.
Yeah, I think, just from what I've seen in the girls' game, in the boys' game, a lot of it is make saves, prevent rebounds, and clear. But it does seem to me that some of the girls' goalies are out of the crease and in the flow of the game a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really exciting to be able to do that, whether it's covering cutters or helping in the fast break. In fact, when I was playing goalie my senior year, I was actively involved in the ride, so we would basically full court press up. I would take the lowest defender and we'd just double the ball to try to get the ball back, and it was so much fun, especially because that was a great take, low angle. Those are usually tough shots, but she squeezed it in there. Great aim on that shot.
So she squeezed it in there, and she's also squeezed this score down to 12-10. We got ourselves a ball game.
We do, and this is why you love this game. It's never over till it's over. It can move so fast, and this is exactly what you want out of a semifinal game.
Well, I guess what Redondo wants to avoid is letting Brentwood go a man down, because we've heard that can be a death to the team that's opposing them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the keys here for Redondo are just being smart about their possessions. Twice now they've caused some unnecessary turnovers here by just trying to rush the play. And if you keep your head up and stay patient, I think they'll be a little bit better off here.
Timeout on the field. We'll let you guys listen to a little Neil Diamond, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back after that timeout. We've got 17 minutes, 8 seconds to go in regulation. Redondo leading Glendale 12-10. What do you know about this, the girl in the draw here?
So Brooke Tokashige is a junior from Redondo, and she's verbally committed to play Division I lacrosse at UC Davis in 2 years. So that's really exciting to see girls from Southern California go on to play Division I lacrosse at the next level.
In the girls' game, would they recruit somebody strictly for their ability on the draw, or is more you need to do that plus other things?
Yeah, they could potentially, but more often than not, they're recruiting, especially in the midfield position. Those are high contenders for recruiting spots because, as a coach, like I said, athleticism is everything, and those midfielders tend to be the ones that can hold their own for long periods of time and run for a long time as well.
Well, you're just talking about how important possessions are and how central to that the draw is. I could see where you'd recruit people. We got a breakaway here.
Yep. So that's senior Addie Bass right there. She's already had, I want to say, at least 3 today.
As we mentioned, Glendale has cut a 3-goal deficit to 2 here in the second half, and if they can get possession again, they can cut this thing down a little bit more. So now would be a good time, I guess, for Redondo to just hold and set up a good
down, look for the cutters. That's exactly what you want to do. Take your time, let the ball do the work.
That goal is by number 1 for Redondo. That is, Caitlin Haniff with the goal. The sweet backdoor cut, give and go. We will come right back. All right, ensuing draw. We now have 16 minutes, 12 seconds to go. Redondo leads Brentwood 13-10.
Glendale.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Brentwood. That's right. So just to set the record straight, Redondo leads Glendale 13-10. Hi to all you people out there at Brentwood, though. All right, back on the possession is Redondo.
Nice ball movement. Yep, you hear Coach Tom Borgia yelling, be patient, be patient. Exactly what they want to do right here. Nice cut. There you go, draw and dump opportunity. Nice, way to take advantage.
Is that 27?
That was 27, yes.
So give that goal to Emma Hodges, number 27 for Redondo, as they push that lead out to 4. So, Lindsay, in a perfect world, or at least in my perfect world, Glendale would have grabbed that ball out of the cage and run it upfield, had a possession, maybe a fast break opportunity. I know you're not necessarily on that school of thinking, but boy, for a team that's down 4, you sure want to get the ball back and have a chance to score. It looks like they may get it out of the result of that draw.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like the idea of it just because it increases the speed of the game and forces the girls to work a little bit harder there because, they're obviously going to have to run a little bit more. But I do also like the downside of it. You kind of give some time for the girls to recover and reset and see what kind of adjustments they make coming into the next possession, whoever gets it.
That makes sense.
Good job, Emma.
Nice defense. That's a tough one there. I don't know what exactly the call was. It could have been a push, could have been across the body on the check. I'm not sure by her hand movements, but it's a little bit tough sometimes to play defense close in because of the restrictions on what you can and can't do. But that was a great take off 6-side mid.
Who was that?
That was number 8.
8?
Senior Rachel Fong.
So once again, they've cut that lead to 3. Still plenty of time, 14 minutes and change.
Yeah, so a lot of things what trips girls up is on contact. You can't extend out. That's considered a push. So what I teach on defense is to make contact with your elbows bent, but sometimes just that nature of trying to make the contact, they naturally go out, and that causes the ref to make the call on that one.
I've talked about it before, but the girls' game has evolved, and I went through a few years where I didn't see the girls' game, and it is a lot more physical, a lot faster, just like this, than it was 8-10 years ago.
Absolutely, and the rules, especially at the college level right now, the game has never been better. There's a 90-second shot clock. You're talking about speed, even though they do have the draws every time after possession. You get 90 seconds after you get possession to get a shot off on cage, and it has just improved the speed of it dramatically. Not only that, but they allowed free motion. So now coming down, the first step to the high school level from college was this self-start rule. So if that was a great feed.
Big time save. That was a good look.
Oh, nice interception there. But as I was saying, if there's a minor foul, especially outside the critical scoring area, so above the 12, outside the 12-meter arc, then the person that was a great check, great takeaway there by number 10.
So yeah, that is Ava Blair, and if that girl turns a corner, she's got a clean look.
Yep, absolutely. Redondo looking here to potentially push the fast break. Oh, nice try. But as I was saying, they have the self-start, so as soon as there's a turnover, they step on the field, and then they can run immediately. However, the other players have to stop until she starts again. But the next level, and hopefully it comes down soon, which is just free movement. So it doesn't matter. You can self-start, but the other players that are off the ball, they can move freely as well. So hopefully that'll come down to allow the pace of play to improve that much more.
So as the game has changed, how has that changed the way you coach or the way you recruit or the way you draw up a play? I mean, what changes does that create?
Honestly, unfortunately, to be redundant, it just improves the need to be athletic, and that's you have to be it in sports. But the days of not being able to run the full field, or especially these ends, the attackers and defenders not being able to, run almost as much as the middies. You have to be in shape to play this game, and you have to be able to run fast and handle it for long periods of time, and. It's just going to increase the need for that. That was a great feed.
A give and go. She gave it to Hodges, who gave it back, and that was, you got a number?
That was number 6, Addie Bass with the goal. Great shot, great take.
So Redondo sort of demonstrating exactly what you talked about with the ball movement and the running. They had her double teamed, Hodges, and they pushed her out once she gave it her badge, and once she gave it up and got it back, she was home free.
Yep, so that's an interesting thing. When you're playing defensively, you can try to double take away the ball, but if you're not communicating, playing team defense and not having that second slide there, you're going to easily be able to take an advantage of the draw and dump opportunities if you're on offense.
All right, we'll step away for just a sec. So we'll head back for another draw here. Lindsay, is there a point, when you're second half, I don't know how much time, but where you change your style, and if you're behind, you have your defenseman pressing up more, you take more chances, anything you draw up like that?
Yep, absolutely. We have a defense set up just for those instances, and we were using it against PV, or attempting to. The only problem was, like you saw here, when the defense isn't communicating and moving at the same time, sometimes that allows opportunities for them to get the ball moving, and even if you're double team, that totally loses your ability, and the point of the pressure is to cut it off. If you're not shutting off the adjacents, the people next to them, then nice
sweet
take.
save, huh?
That was a great save. Senior Lily Barker in goal there for Glendale. But as I was saying, if you're going to play high pressure, you need to make sure everyone's on the same page and moving right at the same time. It requires a lot of coordination together.
Yeah, and in fact, Redondo hardly looks surprised by that. I'm sure they practice against pressure, and they've got things they do like give and go to try to counteract that.
Absolutely.
You mentioned a 90-second clock in college. Is that correct? How about in high school? Anything?
There's no shot clock yet in high school. I'll be interested to see if that one comes down. I'd be a little hesitant to say it's going to come down anytime soon, just because I think it would be hard to manage nationwide. I could be wrong on that, but I'll be interested to see if that happens. That was a great feed, great ball movement. Oh man!
Tic-tac-toe. That ended up with who? Number 6 again?
With the goal. Like I said, I was talking about earlier, Redondo's ball movement has been excellent all game, and that was another proof point right there.
They talk about the ball moves faster than the opponent's feet. In that case, almost faster than the opponent's eyes. Really quick passing, really sharp, and an easy goal.
Exactly, and a lot of times, we say you got to let the ball do the work, and that's exactly why. You just move it, let it do what it's supposed to, and you'll see the opportunities come up real quick.
So back to the dot, and that is controlled by Glendale. It is 16-11 Redondo. We've got 10 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the second half.
Oh, great turnover. Great defensive set there for Redondo. Nice.
And now they've got numbers. Is there much zone defense in girls' game?
There is some. Actually, PV plays a zone with a backer. If you notice, and some other teams do. Also, we faced another tough zone in St. Margaret's Episcopal School earlier this season. That was a very interesting game. Our game got canceled due to lightning the first time, and then they had to drive up for 20 minutes of the game to finish it off. But yeah, they definitely see it from team to team, likes to try it out. But again, if your communication's not there and you're not moving through especially the cutters in the middle, you're gonna struggle a lot.
So the chief and I have talked about this when we've watched the boys' games, and that is that I contend that one reason that zone is hard to beat is that you rarely practice against it if you don't do it yourself, and even if you do, it's hard for your team, if they're not accomplished zone players, to replicate a good zone in practice. So would you say the same thing on the girls' side?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not used to playing it and playing against it, that was a great take.
That is number 12 for Redondo. Let's get to our programs. That is Sophia Risticelli. Probably botched that, but Sophia, nice goal.
Yeah, that was another really great spot. Offside mid, or offside hip spot is the hardest to save with goalies, because you really got to think about going over or under and be in the right position to make that save on that play.
Chopper here with Lindsay Munoz. We are in the second half of the second semifinal game between the girls teams from Redondo and Glendale. Right now, Redondo leads this game 17-11 with 9 minutes, 8 seconds to go. Lindsay coaches Westlake High School, and their program had a huge year this year. One loss during the regular season and just played and lost in the semifinal. Lindsay, have you ever done any refereeing?
I have not done any refereeing, minus when I'm coaching the youth games and refs don't show up, then I step up to fill in. Oh my gosh.
Oh, sweet looking front, and that we're getting tired of calling her name. That is Caitlin Haniff with another goal, and that puts Redondo ahead 18-11.
Wow, Redondo's really running away with this now. Their ball movement has been key. Again, the cutters in the middle, they're getting the draws. They're really getting.
Did you say they're getting the draws? They're getting possessions?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, they now lead by 7 with 8 change to go. So there's a reasonable chance that Redondo is going to emerge victorious here, barring anything unforeseen. Redondo and PV would then meet in the final. They've played already once or twice?
They've played twice now, and they split. The last game, I believe Redondo won by a couple, but the first time PV won. So it'll be interesting. That always tends to be, from what I've heard, a very physical game. So I'm very interested to see how that one will shape out on Wednesday night.
Don't forget to tune in on LaxRatz stream. We will be streaming that game. That's Wednesday night, you said?
Yep, Wednesday night. It's actually at Westlake, so I'm even more bummed that we're not playing in it. But things happen, and the girls will be playing at 5 p.m. and the boys will be playing at 7:30.
So come on out and watch these girls play. I mean, I'm sure most of the people watching right now are girls high school lacrosse fans, but if you're not, this game has really come alive. The athleticism, the competition is great, and who knows, maybe you can get close to Lindsay Munoz at that game, and she can give you a few tips on how to help your player or your team. So Lindsay, I don't want to put you on the spot, so you can defer on this one, but if you had to pick a team between those two, if it were Redondo and PV, who do you think would win? Who will win?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna give the edge to Redondo. I think their defense is holding it down really well down there, and I think if they can figure it out on the draw and get possessions, and even if they don't create turnovers on defense, and like you're seeing, their ability to transition has been really clean, and their ball movement, like it is right now, I'd give them the edge.
They certainly look good to me. So maybe put it a different way, what are the strengths that PV has? I would start with that. And secondly, how do those strengths match up against what Redondo does?
Sure. So, I think PV is going to have a hard time if they stay in the zone with Redondo's ball movement and seeing and covering these cutters. However, I will give PV the edge here with having those two talented goalies. And if Redondo can stay patient and move the goalies, they'll be absolutely successful. But, if they're just shooting and quick and not really having a look to cage, those goalies are going to be all over their shots. So that's going to be something that they're going to need to improve moving forward. But they're facing a really tough goalie here with Lily. She's a senior and had some incredible saves in there thus far in the game. But offensively, Redondo is definitely going to have to do what they've been doing down here, staying tight on the cutters as well, because PV definitely is able to move the ball just as well as Redondo. That was a great save there.
I think we featured the two PV goalies on a LaxRatz one week. What are those girls underclassmen, or are they seniors, and if so, where are they going?
So they are juniors. They're both juniors. Very interesting. They actually, I'm trying to remember the story straight. They actually grew up going to the same daycare, and they met because their brothers played football together and have been friends. They went to different middle schools and then ended up playing goalie and coming together back at Palos Verdes, and have been splitting time ever since. But, they both bring something different. Lily always starts every game. She's a righty.
There's real quick, a shot and a goal, and that was a clean take from X by, I'm trying to see the number on that.
That was 30, Jordan Davis.
So Jordan David, and nice take from X. They forewent the passing, and she just took a great dodge from X. But go back to these goalies from PV.
So Aubrey's a lefty. So again, that's another look. You saw right off the gate, That's something that I definitely noticed going in, but again, it's something the attackers have to think about and know before they shoot. You're used to seeing righty goalies all the time. You're used to being able to think their offside is the right side of the goal. And if you're shooting there every time, you think that's going to go in there, there's a stick going to be right there instead.
And I take it that it's pretty rare with left-handed goalies?
It is. You know, Aubrey's the first one I've seen thus far this season. So, you know, it's just like left-handed players. They're hard to come by, but you got to be ready for them.
All right. Meanwhile, Redondo has worked this lead up to an 8-goal lead. It's 19-11 with 5 minutes 30 seconds, and here they come again. Good slide on defense there, flattened her out. Keep those elbows bent, right?
Exactly right there. Nice look.
Now, somebody was yelling 2-2-2. Was that defense saying this person's open, or was that a play they were calling? Do you know?
I'm not sure. It could have been either one. I'm not totally sure on that one.
Well, I'm clearly impressed with Redondo's the way they move the ball and the way they handle it. I can see why they put a lot of pressure on a defense. Having a hard time clearing now.
But, I mean, yeah, credit to Glendale for staying calm under this pressure, because Redondo's definitely putting it on this transition right now. That's honestly half the battle when you're getting double teamed like that, is to just stay calm and pick a side to go to and go with it. Usually girls pick their strong hand and just wait to see the openings.
You know, we were pretty aware on LaxRatz of Redondo and PV and Westlake for the girls' teams this year. Was Glendale among that top group, the top 4 or 5 as well?
Yeah, they've been up at the top all season long, and you know, but recently throughout the years they haven't historically been there. Again, that's why I said credit to Joe Campbell and what he's done with their program there. And that was a great take by number 8, Rachel Fong. She's a senior.
So goal for Glendale, that'll cut it down a little bit. Let's keep it right here. So Lindsay, sounds like they've had a great season for Glendale. This has got to be a building block for them. I mean, you don't look for moral victories when you get to the semifinals of the playoffs. Nevertheless, to get in there to play a team like Redondo, got to be a good thing to build on for next year.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. And I mean, you know, all the teams that are in here, it's really exciting for the progress moving forward, especially to see some new faces with Westlake and Glendale in there. It's exciting to create more diversity within the top contenders.
Well, Adele is rolling in the deep. We'll step away for just a sec. back at the dot. 3 minutes, 37 seconds to go. Redondo 19, Glendale 12. Lindsay, let's talk a little bit about girls youth lacrosse, and let's start with a story about your 4 captains on the Westlake High team. Tell me about them and their coaching.
Yeah, so all 4 of our captains this season, Shelby Tilton, Sarah Sullivan, Claire Motes, and Kaylee Follett, all coach our youth program, which is the Westlake Waves. So that's girls as young as 2nd grade and as old as girls in 8th grade, and they're getting coached by these high school players, and these youth players are able to come to our high school games and see their coaches perform and how well they play, and it really just not only creates a greater sense of community, but fuels their engagement and enjoyment of the sport, and also makes their practices a lot more fun when they're able to, break down different plays that happen in the game, or, test out and see what their coaches are doing on the field and test out them into their practice setting.
That's awesome. So, some girls starting as early as 2nd grade. I'm sure there's some people out there who want to know, how young was Lindsay Munoz when she started?
I actually started, that was a great shot and take there. That was a great way to respond, Glendale, coming out of that timeout. Did not see it.
Let's step away for a second. We'll come back. Was it the girl with the stick, I think?
Was it 19? 19, X-Carat.
Okay, so that's
X-Carat Salvador. She's a senior. She's one of their X-Carat Salvador.
All right, so let's give that goal for Glendale to X-Carat Salvador. Cuts the lead to 19-13. 2 minutes, 52 seconds to go. Continue your story.
Yeah, so I started when I was just 5 years old. I have an older brother that's 5 years older than me, and naturally as a younger sibling, you want to do everything they do. So as soon as I could start playing, I did. And my family ended up all being lacrosse players in college. My brother played at Division I at Drexel. Younger sister ended up playing Division II at Limestone College. So, being from Maryland, it's what we do.
For people that have never tried the game but watch it, the stick scales are not easy to pick up, and I've known some really good athletes who could run like the wind, couldn't get past that stick part and gave up on it. So, what do you think of in terms of a learning curve there, and is it harder, is it better to start in 2nd grade where you might get frustrated but have more time to develop it? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that you can see both. That's the nature of this game, and that's why I love it so much, is because it requires hard work. So as you get to the higher levels, you really see who's willing to work. Those individuals will weed out really quickly, and especially somebody who's value hard work. That's something that's gotten me to where I am today. And you can equally be someone who starts when you're in kindergarten and get to the Division I level, or you can, as someone that's a player on my team right now, get really into it your freshman year and work as much as you can whenever you have free time and be a Division I prospect. And that's the nature of this game. If you're willing to put in the work, you will get better, but you have to work hard and to have the time to do it.
They just ran one of these plays after a stoppage in play where the offense is given the ball, 10 yards out. And do you recommend to just wind up and fire? Do you recommend to run in there and perhaps the defense catch up to you? What's the way?
So it really depends on the setup, defensive setup, especially if you're on an 8-meter setting. So there's a situation inside the 8-meter arc, like right here, right now. This is a great opportunity to kind of duck under and take advantage, especially seeing that she has that backside open right now on the angle right now. Or what she can look to do is if there was another attacker closer to up top, a lot of times the defense will collapse in and she'll have an easy look to the middle of one of her teammates. And probably should have pulled that in a little bit closer to the body, but usually that's exactly right. You don't have the opportunity, you just tuck it in, protect your stick, and pull it out to reattack.
Yeah, good defense by Redondo, but
nice defense there. That was a great takeaway. And I think, yep, that's a freshman defender, Asia Robertson.
The world is going to have to cope with her for 3 more years.
Exactly right.
Just as an observation, it looks like the girls' teams have a much shorter bench than most of the boys' teams. Maybe 5 or 6 players rather than 12 or 15. Is that by design, or just there aren't that many people playing?
I think it's more so a sign of not many people playing. Unfortunately, I know in our league, we were, and even in the area, we were one of 2 teams out of the 6 teams that are in our area to have a JV team at all. So it's definitely still growing. As exciting as this game is and the talent level that's on these fields, it still is very much growing sport out here. And wow, that was a great take. Number 8, Rachel Fong there. She's a senior. Great effort. She's tired after that one.
I would be too. She ran the length of the field and tucked it in. A great run.
But yeah, I mean, I think the progress to the high school level, like I said earlier, it starts with the investment in the youth programs, and there are a lot of coaches out here. I know Coach Tom Borgia and Joe Campbell are involved in the youth programs and growing it, starting from the younger kids. So, it's really important what these coaches are doing to keep pushing that.
And if you've got a youngster, in this case a young girl, what a great sport lacrosse is. It's got parts of soccer, basketball. It's, you're running, you're in great shape. And from what I've seen, I know on the boys' side, the community of people, coaches, players, refs, and just parents, some of the greatest people, because they're in it for the sport and not in it for glory or money, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hands down, I tell my kids all the time, the reason why I'm out here is because of one of my high school teammates. She started a program in the Santa Monica area, and after doing public relations for cybersecurity companies and coaching on the weekends, I kept looking forward to my weekend of coaching and wanted to get back to California. That was a great save by Tatum Davis there.
And that will do it. Final score here from Culver City High School is Redondo 19, and I want to keep wanting to say Brentwood, but Glendale 14. Hey, look, if you're with us, stick around. The Chief's going to join me in the booth. We're going to stream both of the boys' semifinals coming up in a short while. Meanwhile, Lindsay, any final thoughts on the games today, girls lacrosse, anything?
Like you said, if there are any parents watching that are questioning whether they want their daughter to get involved in girls lacrosse, absolutely send them out there, let them try it. I find the most times when kids actually get a stick in their hand, catch a ball for the first time, they're hooked.
That's awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching the girls semifinal games. Again, we'll be right back in a few minutes to start the boys semifinals. Thanks for watching.